Colin, who looks worse in this story, which is really ugly, Brady or Belichick?
Brady looks worse. Belichick comes off as almost sympathetic, that I just wanted to make a move that any coach would make, which is, I've got a Aaron Rodgers, I've got a Steve Young, I've got my Andrew Luck. I'm going to move off my 40-year-old guy. Brady, I'm not going to go as far as petty. We'll talk about that later. But I'll tell you, it makes Tom Brady 12, TB12, that brand, there's a Scientology feel to it, which is really interesting. You're not just criticizing Brady, but you're criticizing this brand he's built and graduating to in a couple years. I don't know how Brady reads this article and doesn't take it personally. Like, I don't know how he does.
I don't know how he doesn't throw his phone through the window or whatever device he read it on.
Yeah.
Because he has got to be ticked off. Because I think this makes Brady look awful. When you look at the pettiness that he had with Jimmy Garoppolo, backing him up, so much so that he kept him out of his TB12 facility to keep him from getting training there. Going back to him being concerned over getting Patriot of the Week. Are you serious? Like, he's worried about that? How about going another championship ring? And where I think Belichick gets some credit is that he's the one in this report that was looking out for the future of the franchise. He had a plan, a succession plan in place, and Brady's out there only looking for himself, for his personal interests, and how can he set up his post-career after the Patriots. And I think all of it makes Brady look really bad. And I love, you said you had a man crush on him. I'm right behind you. I think he's incredible. But this one, not so impressive.
Yeah, and you understand one of the things and one of the strengths of this organization has been always to get rid of a guy a year or two early, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to keep him a year or two too long. And they have done that historically through every player. I mean, whether it's a Richard Seymour, whether it's a Vince Wilfork, some of the great Patriots of all time, Lawyer Malloy, they'll just ship you out. And they've been able to do that over consistently. And that's been part of that plan that you talked about that Bill Belichick has always had. I think the one thing that surprised me and concerned me for the organization was this is the first time I can ever remember Bill Belichick being usurped from an authority standpoint by his owner.
Take him off.
And that to me is a big, big thing. And we talk about it all the time, whether it's the Skins or whether it's the Cowboys, when your organizational structure is such that your coach is actually emasculated from time to time by the owner, that's a bad, bad look, and it's a bad way to operate your franchise.
I'm in Dallas Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones. Mm-hmm. They worked in their own worlds. But when Jerry thought he was a football guy, Jimmy's like, I'm out of here. And Jimmy, to this day, will tell you, Jerry's the smartest businessman I've ever met. I'm the football guy. And I think Kraft, for the only time, said, I want to be on the football side.
Yep.
No trading Tommy. And Belichick's like, I'm out.
Well, it's like anything. All dynasties come to an end. The Roman dynasty, the Patriot dynasty, all of them come to an end. It's like a story. They all come to an end. But I think what the problem is that Tom Brady and Robert Kraft are very close. Yeah. I saw that when I went to Israel, and Robert Kraft and Tom Brady were FaceTiming. I'm like, I don't see that with owners. I mean, that's how tight they are. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Hey, Tom, what y'all? I mean, it was like that's his boy. So in a sense, I agree with you. You have to side with the coach because, look, Tom's 40 years old. He may say he's going to play these 45. Yeah. That ain't going to happen. That body ain't going to allow it. It's just not. So you have to stay with the coach. But, when you're the owner, you own the football team, I have the last say. I can tell my coach, look, I'm going to side with the quarterback.
Well, I think Brady looks worse. I put the blame on Belichick for giving this access, because he's a guy that's always prided himself in the Patriot way. We're going to keep all distractions out. We hunker down in our bunker and we don't let anybody in. For him to give access to Guerrero, and I don't know when the moment was when he said, uh-oh, what did I just do? That was the biggest mistake you had, because Guerrero came in there preaching this gospel message of the TB12, which was great for Tom Brady.
He's the fitness guru that's Tom's buddy.
Yes, and he absolutely undermined the training staff, the medical staff, the people that really matter to an NFL team when you're thinking about the bodies that come into that training room after. And that was the biggest mistake in all of this, was for him to let his trainer in there.
And it's really interesting. Some of the quotes in the article, it at least, again, it clearly the Belichick side leaked a lot of this stuff because Belichick becomes sympathetic. But there were a lot of, quote, staffers and players that weren't in on this Guerrero guy. I mean, that was my takeaway, that some of them were saying, Brady was bad-mouthing the staff in New England, and Guerrero was bad-mouthing it, and it would say staffers and players thought it was unfair because actually New England really does care about diet and about some of the science of getting better. So I thought Tom not only looked bad, but, man, that fitness guru guy and Tom's brand looked a little shaky to me.
It looked like a cult.
Yeah, a little bit like a cult.
I mean, there are some things out there I know drinking water is great for you, but I drink so much water I don't need sunscreen, like that kind of thing. And I'm like, well, if you drink 14 gallons of water, you're in the bathroom all the time. Of course you're not going to get any sun, right? I mean, especially as you get to 40, right? I mean, you know that.
Yep.
It's your birthday.
Colin, will this be Bill Belichick's final season in New England?
Absolutely no question about it. You do not give away not only Jimmy Garoppolo, but a very competent backup, Jacoby Brissett, for nothing. I mean, they gave up Brissett for a bust receiver. We are all paying attention to the Garoppolo thing, but at least they got a second-round pick. They got nothing for Brissett, who is a strong young guy who at worst is a Case Keenum backup level player. Okay, so now we get in this story that Belichick is also, for the first time in his career, mentoring his coordinators how to interview for jobs. So let me get this straight. So Belichick's never given away quarterbacks. He gave away 2. And he's never helped his coordinators get work, and he's doing it with both. It's pretty obvious. He was ticked off when Kraft sided with Brady. He says, okay, I'm gone, 2 coordinators gone, 2 quarterbacks gone. You're left with 41-year-old Tommy. I'll be down in Jupiter, Florida. I think he's looking for an exit.
I don't think so at all. I think once cooler heads prevail, and maybe it's a month after the season, maybe it's a week after the season, at whatever point they sit down, I think you get these 3 power players in a room, and they say, what is really going on? I think they hash it out. I think there might be some yelling. I think, as you said, there's definitely some dissension between these guys. Maybe they don't talk at practice. Maybe it is icy. But once they all come back, I think they realize, you know what? We have an incredible thing going here. Maybe one of the greatest runs that we've ever seen in sports. And I think Brady and Belichick will hang it up together because I think they both realize they need each other. And as great as their egos are, I don't think they want to risk seeing what's out there without each other. So for that reason, I think Belichick comes back next year.
Gosh, listen, here's what's interesting to me, all right? So the Niners pursued this Jimmy Garoppolo trade all the way back to when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan got the job, goes all the way back to the Combine. And it continued, Combine, it continued, they pressed. They talked. They even asked about Brady's availability. They pressed, they talked, they pressed. It was no, absolutely not, no way, no way, no way. Then all of a sudden, the phone rings, and it's Bill Belichick a couple days before the trade deadline. You still want Jimmy Garoppolo? Boom, second rounder, okay, done. Hang up. That just feels to me like I'm done.
Yeah, that's
right? It just feels to me like, okay, you know what? As soon as you meddle in my business and the way I've run this team, to the tune of 7 times we've been to the Super Bowl and 5 world championships. As soon as you circumvent my authority and the deal that we've had, I'm out. And that's what I agree with Colin. I just feel like that's it. I'm going to coach. Well, whatever happens in the playoffs happens in the playoffs. And
by the way,
and I'm walking away.
If you work for 4 years on something, 3 or 4 with Garoppolo, it's a project. Let's say you worked on a business for 4 years or a website. You don't give it away. Like when I saw that, it wasn't just Garoppolo. It was like he also worked for 3 years on Brissett. He's going to give it away? That doesn't make any sense. That's not what people do. You have a business.
What we're forgetting,
you
though, is
just give it away.
Right.
There was a trade deadline, though, and if they would have kept him on their roster, what do they do with him now? Of course, now a second looks like a steal because Garoppolo's been out there. It's 5-0. But we didn't know all this intel, and we're finding out the Patriots liked him, but there was absolutely some unknown. So I think Belichick did the smart thing and said, let me get something.
I understand that. With the injury history of this league, where everybody loses a quarterback in the preseason, and you got, I think it was 2 number 1s for Sam Bradford. You can't tell me that Jimmy Garoppolo ain't going to bring more than a second rounder.
But maybe speaking to your point, though, maybe they wanted to make sure that Brady was going to be able to make it through the year with Garoppolo.
Is Belichick leaving? Look, these are grown men. You know, this is business. This is football. Like you said, after the season's over with, we'll all sit down. We'll talk. And I think, like you said, I think cooler heads will prevail. Like, look, man, you know, in the locker room, it's players don't like each other. It's coaches don't like each other. Let's talk about this. Let's try to work this out. You know, if Tom's gonna come back, let's try to get us a backup. Let's get us an adequate backup, and we'll just keep moving forward. What does it come down to? It's all about winning. We don't care about your egos. It's about winning football games, winning Super Bowls. That's what it comes down to. If Tom wins the Super Bowl at 40 years old, this story doesn't even make a difference. They'll talk about it later. Okay, is he coming back? He's not coming back. That'll be the question.
And the coordinator's leaving, like, that's old news for the Patriots. Like, they have guys leaving left and right all the time because that's what happens when you're a Super Bowl team because of the laziness of NFL coaching searches that go on. It's, who won the Super Bowl? Let's call their coordinators. Which team is having a great year? Let's call their coordinators. And that always happens to be the Patriots.
I guarantee you this year in the locker room, the guys in the locker room say, "Oh man, we've been knowing this. this ain't nothing. You know, we've been knowing this been going on. Y'all just getting it."
That may be true, but remember the Ray Rice story? We read stories about it. Then we saw a video, and the video amplified it. And all of a sudden, the league went. I mean, that story was out there for 6 months. Ray Rice, fiance, violence. Articles do the same thing. Everybody may have known about this, but when your teammates can pick it up and read it, it's embarrassing. Like, I agree. You know, obviously, by the way, if you're married to somebody and you're fighting, you know about it. If it's in the New York Times and makes you look bad, and then everybody knows about it, it amplifies the story.
But that don't mean, like, I'm going to leave her because everybody know. I'm leaving.